Hey guys, this is your daily dose of movies. Today I'm talking about action, adventure movie, Apocalypto, with a budget of $40 million and rating of 7.8 by IMDb. It's the early 16th century, in the Central American jungle. A tapir dashes through the woods before being caught in a tripwire trap and impaled on a spiked limb. Jaguar paw kills the tapir and splits its internal organs among his fellow hunters Curl Nose, Smoke Frog, and Cocoa Leaf. Blunted gets the tapir's testicles as a joke since he and his wife have no children. Flint Sky, Jaguar paw's father, gives Blunted some red leaves to use the next time he and his wife attempt. They are shortly disturbed by a group of migrants walking through the woods. One of them, a fisherman, tells Jaguar paw that their town was assaulted and they desire a fresh start. Jaguar paw wants to know more about what transpired before the group leaves. His father stifles him and they return home. Flint Sky tells his son just before they return that the refugees brought terror into the hamlet, which should not be allowed to fester. Jaguar paw enters his hut and greets his pregnant wife, 7. Blunted returns to Skyflower, whose mother urges him to give her grandchildren. Blunted bursts out screaming and gripping his privates before sitting in a water trough. Flint Sky laughs, since the leaves he handed Blunted were supposed to burn when rubbed. Blunted shouts at him but joins in the laughter. An ancient tale describes how man used to get gifts from the forest until the forest ran out. The people start dancing and singing, but Jaguar paw remains distracted until 7 returns him. Jaguar paw wakes up early the next morning, seeing fire torches approaching the town. Warriors come, setting fire to homes and capturing inhabitants. Jaguar paw hides his wife and kid in a deep cistern. He runs back to the settlement to assist, killing a raider on the way. But soon the village is overwhelmed. Skyflower is likely raped and murdered as Blunted is restrained. Jaguar paw tries to liberate his father but gets attacked. Middle Eye, a raider, calls him almost. Flint Sky reassures his son as Middle Eye cuts his neck. The surviving prisoners are tied up and dragged away on long poles, leaving the village's youngsters alone with the corpses. Snake Inc., a member of the Holcane hunting group, observes Jaguar paw glancing towards the cistern as they pass. Snake Inc. looks but misses 7 and Turtles run, but he suspects the rope in the hole and cuts it. The fierce-looking leader of the Holcanes, Zero Wolf, reunites with his son Cut Rock, who has suffered a bruising blow to the head, swelling his right eye shut. He cuts lines under his eye to release the pressure of blood, allowing his son to see again. The party catches up with a second raiding squad that has captured refugees seen the day before. Jaguar paw sees the fishermen as the two parties are brought further into the jungle by their youngsters. The youngsters are stopped by a roaring river. The oldest girl yells out that she would take care of the youngsters. Cocoa Leaf loses his balance and falls down a cliff the following day, having been seriously hurt in the village attack. Middle Eye watches with curiosity as Jaguar paw and the others bring him back onto the path. He then frees Cocoa Leaf and pushes him down the edge. Middle Eye claims he lost one of their hostages, but Zero Wolf chastises him for it. Still, Middle Eye walks beside Jaguar paw, teasing him and calling him almost again. That night as they camp, Zero Wolf gives his son a large dagger which he says has killed many men. The successful attack proves Cut Rock's masculinity. As they reach civilization, the group passes through a deforested region with failing corn harvests and dead residents. A ill little girl with sores on her face and hands approaches the celebration, but as Snake Inc. pulls her away, she stares blankly at Jaguar paw. To Snake Inc., she predicts their demise, a guy who brings darkness and an earthborn jaguar, and who will bring those who will scratch him out. She claims he is now among them. The party carries on as she calls them. They arrive in a city where laborers work in limestone quarries, putting quicklime on structures. As a laborer coughs up blood, an elderly guy approaches the hostages, drooling. A Holcane kicks him away and tells him to die. Women are separated from males and sold as slaves. As his mother-in-law gets rejected for her age, Blunted watches. Let free, she walks along Blunted's side, confidently stroking his arm before shutting her eyes against a pillar. They are brought down a tunnel with photos of human sacrifices on the walls. They are taken to the top of a step pyramid painted blue. Victims' heads are thrown down the stairs and gathered in baskets. Jaguar watches as the first captive's heart and skull are pulled out. Curl Nose dies before Jaguar Paw is sacrificed, accepting his destiny. However, the process of sacrifice is disrupted by a solar eclipse. The priests and Mayan authorities know the eclipse will pass, but they utilize it to control the people and their opponents. He then tells Zero Wolf to free the others. Jaguar Paw and the others are led to an old ball court and told to sprint the length in pairs into the forest at the finish. Cut Rock sprints to the court's conclusion as a finisher, and the hostages are clearly targets. They are followed by Cut Rock, who spears Blunted in the lower back and slams Smoke Frog with a big stone. They are then advised to escape. Middle Eye rips off Jaguar Paw's jewelry and throws it onto the earth before fleeing. The fisherman is hit in the head by Snake Ink's arrow, and Jaguar Paw is impaled through his side, collapsing close Blunted. Blunted lunges and grips Cut Rock's leg, affording Jaguar Paw time. Jaguar Paw tears off the arrowhead in his own body and stabs Cut Rock in the neck. Jaguar Paw rises, removes his arrow shaft, and rushes into the jungle. Zero Wolf lulls his kid to sleep. Zero Wolf reclaims his blade and places his son's pendant in his belt before sprinting to catch up Jaguar Paw. His Hulkanes follow. In a cornfield, Jaguar Paw stumbles across an open cemetery full of thousands of sacrificed victims. He dashes across the rotting corpses into the bush, climbing a tree to hide. Hulkanes swarm underneath him. Soon after, he turns to see a black jaguar cub snarling. He hears a frightening mother jaguar roaring behind him. The Hulkanes realize they've lost Jaguar Paw's track. They retrace their steps, keeping their eyes on the woods. Speaking Wind follows Jaguar Paw through the jungle. Speaking Wind is assaulted by the jaguar hunting Jaguar Paw in a clearing. Prior to the others arriving, he is brutally mauled to death. Snake Ink reminds Drunkards 4 of the Odd Child's prophecy and reminds him it was predicted. Zero Wolf hushes them all, seeking Jaguar Paw. The pursuit continues into the morning. Drunkards 4 approaches a tree that Jaguar Paw painted blue, but he gets bitten in the neck by an asp. He is advised to bloodlet by hanging moss. Jaguar Paw is trapped by Hulkanes and forced to jump over a big waterfall. This is his forest, and his generations will continue to hunt in it. Zero Wolf stabs Snake Ink when he recommends descending down instead of leaping. A submerged rock kills Buzzard Hook, the first to leap. Others are more fortunate and pursue. Jaguar Paw retreats and falls into a muddy sinkhole, but climbs out. After that, he pauses, decides he is not terrified, and stops running. Jaguar Paw, drenched in muck, approaches the Hulkanes and throws a live wasp hive at him, inciting the wasps to attack. In a creek, Jaguar Paw discovers a poison arrow frog and gathers its venom on thorns. He circles and hides in the reeds, waiting for the Hulkanes. Meanwhile, Seven tries to escape the cistern by launching a stalactite with a rope attached. She climbs halfway, but the rock dislodges, and she falls. Despite relatively minor injuries, she loses her water. Jaguar Paw grabs a huge leaf and rolls it into a blowgun as the Hulkanes pass. Seizing the opportunity, he hurls his darts towards Hanging Moss. Middle Eye is drawn back by Hanging Moss screams. Middle Eye and Jaguar Paw race at each other, both aiming for the bludgeon that Hanging Moss dropped. Middle Eye swings his own as they approach, and Jaguar Paw ducks, taking a minor head hit. Jaguar Paw takes up Hanging Moss hammer and rises to hit Middle Eye in the temple. Jaguar Paw kills him with a chin blow. Jaguar Paw rushes to the cistern, anticipating its imminent filling. With rainwater, Zero Wolf, Monkey Jaw, and 10 Peccary observe Middle Eye's corpse and Jaguar Paw dash into the woods. Enraged, Zero Wolf outruns the others. When Jaguar Paw arrives at the cistern, Seven is in labor and screaming for him to hurry. Jaguar Paw dodges an arrow and flees into the jungle as Zero Wolf draws in. Seven and Turtles Run are seen by Monkey Jaw and 10 Peccary before continuing their hunt. Jaguar Paw pauses at a familiar area in the woods and faces Zero Wolf, who bolts an arrow into his shoulder. Jaguar Paw, injured, stands and watches as Zero Wolf comes at him with his knife. Errantly setting off the taper trap, Zero Wolf is stabbed by its sharp spikes. Monkey Jaw and 10 Peccary follow Jaguar Paw to the shore, where he collapses. They come up to him and pause, peering out to sea at a tiny Spanish armada. Soldiers and missionaries paddle tiny boats to land. Jaguar Paw dashes back to the cistern while Monkey Jaw and 10 Peccary reach the coast. He discovers 7 in labor and removes his family from the cistern. Following Jaguar Paw is 7 and Turtles run with their newborn baby. 7 wonders whether they should go to the Spanish ships. Jaguar Paw advises them to seek a fresh beginning in the wild. Hope you enjoyed this dose of movies. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See ya!